How long does a criminal case take to resolve? Hi, I'm Jeff Hampton with the Hampton Law Firm. Thanks for joining us on our YouTube channel. Today I'm going to talk about exactly this topic. I get this question probably multiple times a week. Hey Jeff, how long is it going to take for a criminal case to resolve, and what should I expect? And by the way, if you wait around to the end of the video, I'll give you a free ebook, What to Do If You've Been Charged with a Crime in Texas. So let's talk about this. I want to break this down into two parts. You know that most crimes are broken into misdemeanors or felonies. So let's talk about misdemeanors first. I'm going to do a subsection of those misdemeanors by first talking about Class C misdemeanors under Texas law, which many people refer to as citations. So maybe it's a public intoxication, maybe it's an assault by contact. Well, listen, essentially that's in a different court. That's usually either in a municipal court, a city court, or a justice of the peace court. And that can take anywhere as short of a time as a month. It can take up to 6 months. Actually, some courts, like if you've got in Fort Worth or in Arlington, you can actually have a trial not happen for a year or more because they are so backed up since COVID. But the reality of it is, the average is around 2 to 3 months is when you can resolve a Class C offense. And so now let's work our way up. What about a Class B misdemeanor? Class B misdemeanor is punishable by up to 180 days in jail and up to a $2,000 fine. A Class A misdemeanor is up to a year in county jail and up to a $4,000 fine. Now, I group these two together because all Class B and Class A misdemeanors under Texas law all go to a county criminal court. So county criminal courts in Texas, or particularly I want to talk about Tarrant County. For instance, every court is a little different. You could be in Court 2, and Court 2 will move a much faster than, say, a Court 8, okay, in Tarrant County. So every case is a little unique. But on average, for instance, I'm going to give you an example, DWIs. If you're charged with driving while intoxicated in Tarrant County, it can easily take 6 months to a year to resolve a DWI case because the district attorney's office in Texas, they take a very strong stance against DWI cases and domestic violence, certain offenses. And as a result of that, in order to get the very best result for a client, we have got to push that prosecutor as far as it needs to go, sometimes all the way up to a trial setting, in order to use the system to help that prosecutor begin to treat our client fairly. And so you gotta understand, sometimes the pressure of the system begins to weigh down on the district attorney's office. And then as a result of that, we've literally had cases where a client at the very beginning is being offered jail time, and by the time we get to the actual trial setting, they end up offering a lesser offense down to like a ticket level, or dismiss it like a conditional dismissal. If our client had not been willing to push it and make sure and force the prosecutor to meet their burden, that opportunity would not have been available for our client. So on average, you're looking at anywhere between 6 months to a year for a misdemeanor case, unless it's a short off. Let's say it's like a shoplifting case and we can get a straight up dismissal for lack of evidence. Maybe we can do a conditional dismissal where a couple of items are done on the front end in exchange for a dismissal. Or if you're eligible for a diversion program in one of the counties here in Texas, that could fast track the resolution of your case. But remember, it's not so much about how long the case takes. What matters most is you want to be able to avoid jail time, you want to be able to not be convicted, and you want to be able to make sure you can get this off your record. And if that takes more time in order to make that happen, a good attorney will make sure and push the envelope in order to get you a good result, okay? So we've talked about misdemeanors. Now, look, let's talk for a few moments about felonies. Felonies are a little bit different. I'm gonna first talk about a way that you can actually shorten the length of time that it takes to resolve a felony, and that is called the grand jury process. The grand jury is a panel of citizens that listen to evidence, and they are a filter. They essentially filter out bad cases, they're supposed to, and they're supposed to let legitimate cases move through into the system. The problem is, most of the time they only hear one side of the story from the prosecutor. If your attorney is able to establish a grand jury packet of evidence to present to that grand jury, let's say like a video, or maybe there's some text messages or some additional evidence that might be able to show your side of the story, but yet you remain protected, that can allow the grand jury to either take that felony down to a misdemeanor level, or they could no-bill the case. And so generally, particularly in Tarrant County, cases are being presented to the grand jury within 30 to 90 days. And of course, if your case is no billed, your case is over. You've been exonerated, and you will end up being eligible to have the entire arrest expunged from your record. So that's one of the fastest ways to be able to get a felony case dismissed and be completed. All right, but let's talk about if it makes it past the grand jury. Now you're talking about the long haul. Now if it makes it past the grand jury, state jail felony offenses, they can take anywhere between 6 months or so on average up to a year. But if you start talking about third, second, first degree felonies, it can easily take a year. We've had it actually take up to 3 years, depending on how serious the case is, in order to resolve that case. And I always tell all of our clients, to the patient goes the prize. And what I mean by that is, the time is always a friend of the defense and not a friend of the prosecutor. And the reason why I say that, sometimes witnesses no longer are available. Sometimes there can be things that come up where it creates proof problems for the prosecutor as time passes and witnesses may no longer be available. But as a general rule, time can benefit the defense, okay? So these are things to be aware of and to know. And so I want you to understand, what is the purpose? Here's what happens. I explain all this, and then I'll have a client that'll say, what's the purpose of all these court dates? Why do I have to keep coming to court? Well, here's why. Each court date has a different purpose, but as you attend those court dates, you are acting in partnership with your attorney to make sure you are holding that prosecutor to their burden of proof. So as you keep coming, understand, even if it feels pointless, even if it feels like it wasn't productive, you are acting in partnership with your attorney to help make sure that that prosecutor is treating you fairly, okay? So remember what I said, time is the friend of the defense, not the state. Now listen, I hope this was some benefit to you. I promised you a free ebook, What to Do If You've Been Charged with a Crime in Texas. All you have to do is click through down in the description portion of the video. I'll be happy to email that right over to you. And listen, I also want to invite you, if you are facing a criminal case in the North Texas area, don't hesitate to contact the Hampton Law Firm at the number you see above. We'll be happy to give you a free case analysis and consultation. And I want to thank you for joining us here today. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Like this video, and I'll send you more great content just like this. Thanks again.